There's a big difference between going no contact and going active no contact with your ex after the breakup. I'm Benny Lichten-Wallner, and I help people get their exes back. And what I teach, which is active no contact, is entirely different than what you're going to hear from other people as they're telling you to go no contact with your ex. Well, what's the difference? Other people teach you to go into no contact. That is, have this sort of forced period of time where you stay away from that other person, and it's there for you to grow. And basically the idea is that you don't talk during that time, hoping that each of you grow to this point where now you're going to have this functional relationship at the end of no contact. This is a faulty theory for many reasons. The first reason is that there's no guarantee that your ex heals whatsoever. In fact, they're probably going to be the same broken person that broke up with you to begin with. And then you might ask, well, why do I even want them back then? And fair enough, that's a fair enough question. But you can raise attraction with them in order to get them to go into therapy later after you've built that influence with them. But the point is, you don't want to force no contact because they're probably not going to grow during this time apart. Now, the second thing is to force no contact and to kind of push this person away for several months. A, you're communicating disinterest on some level, which we don't want to do. But also, it's kind of like condescending to you as a person, saying, hey, you need to grow. You can't handle what it takes to, re-attract this other person. You need to grow. You need this time apart because you're not strong enough. For some people, they're really not strong enough, and fair enough. You're going to need to kind of get yourself back in the saddle and collect yourself emotionally in order to do the things that you're going to need to do to re-attract your ex. But I really don't like this kind of attitude because it's almost like growing up in religion where they're like, hey, you need to confess your sins to the priest. And then you ask, well, can't you just ask God directly for forgiveness? And they're like, yeah, you could do that. But they're like, best practice is you go to the priest. It's like, okay, well, just give me the fucking bottom line. So I don't want to condescend to you and say, hey, here's all this extra stuff that you need to do for best practice. No, it's like, hey, if you just want to get the result, what works, just do the thing that you need to do. Don't give it like all this extra fluff. Now, another thing about going regular no contact with your ex versus active no contact, which is what I teach, is that you're going to hear it conventionally taught that you need to tell your ex that you're going into no contact with them, for X period of time in order to grow. To me, that would be like being a mafia boss and like warning your enemies that like, hey, you need to get off my street corner, otherwise I'm going to assassinate you. Nobody's going to take you seriously. If you mean business, if you're about your business, you're just going to, pull the trigger on all the assassinations, just like in The Godfather, like during your kid's baptism, right? So if you want your ex to take you seriously, you just immediately remove your attention